Deep concern for the humanitarian situation, but there's only one president at a time. Let's get more on Obama's reaction, the reaction of American politicians in general to what's going on in Gaza. Democratic Congressman Keith Ellison joins us now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us. Was that a satisfactory statement from Barack Obama, would you say?
Well, I think that Barack Obama has been consistent, and I'm glad to hear him restate his promise to be active and engaged in bringing all parties to the table to resolve the Middle East crisis, the Israeli-Palestinian crisis, or in the long term. One of the things I've been quite concerned about over the years is that the Bush administration has really not been bringing parties to the table. Even last year during the Annapolis event, in retrospect, it looks more like, I don't know, just a meeting than really a beginning to any meaningful peace process. But I will take him at his word that when he does assume office, he will make this a top priority as the whole world, including the Gazans and the Palestinians and the Israelis, need a solution to this problem. They're obviously locked in a death spiral, cannot resolve the problem on their own, and the world's only superpower can't be missing at the table. And so I'm happy to hear what President-elect Obama had to say. I do believe that we need an immediate cessation of all hostilities. The focus must be on the humanitarian situation. This crisis, this recent crisis, is not the beginning of the suffering of people of Gaza. They have lived in dreadful isolation for a long time. So this comes at a particular, it's really grievous injury to a long train of horribles that they've been living through.
Do you feel a bit marginalized on Capitol Hill right now? You have been quite outspoken. You released quite a forceful statement last Friday about the situation. Your leadership, however, we understand, is currently drafting a non-binding resolution in support of the Israeli offensive in Gaza. I'm talking about the Democratic leadership of the House. How are give us a sense of the discussions on Capitol Hill.
I don't want to...
Go ahead, yes.
I don't want to speak for anybody other than myself. I will say that I do hope that the Democratic leadership looks at this thing carefully and looks at this thing for the long term and understands that just declaring we support Israel, or for that matter, we support the Palestinians, is no solution. What we need is somebody to support peace. We need somebody who's going to say we support an active and engaged, robust, persistent peace process where the United States, the world's only superpower, will make the military aggression stop by saying that we insist upon it and we will use the means at our disposal to make the violence stop. Remember, it's not just IDF members and Hamas fighters who are dying here. We have a school that was bombed. There was a mosque that was bombed. We have children who've been killed. This situation is absolutely intolerable and must end immediately.
But Congressman, though, help us understand the discourse on Capitol Hill. When we see, for example, Harry Reid appear on a Sunday talk show and talk about the clarity of the morality, of the need for Israeli action in Gaza, very much taking on this rather ahistorical narrative of what's been going on. Israel minding its own business, being bombarded with rockets from the south, no sovereign country can take that, and so on, not perhaps including the last 30 or 40 years of occupation and so on. Is that really how your colleagues see the Middle East conflict? With a very narrow timeline, with a sense of right and wrong, do they have the historical context? Are they seeing what's going on? Do they understand the Middle East?
Quite honestly, I think that we are lacking for a robust and diverse exchange of views from various points of view. I think that there has been a point of view where the United States sees itself as an ally of one party to this conflict, and there's not been much sympathy at all for the other side. But I think that it's easy. The easy position is to say, I'm for this group or I'm for that group. The tough position is to say, look, we've got to reconcile these people. We've got to bring people together, and we've got to put the humanitarian condition up front. The fact is that there are children who are dying, and the truth is that if this problem was a cake, everybody could have a slice. But for the innocent people who are dying in Gaza, who cares about who's to blame and whose fault it is?
But do you feel, when you issue statements like, as you did on Friday, do you feel it's an act of courage to do so as
No,
a representative?
no.
Do you feel that others
Absolutely
may
not.
want to speak out but don't want to? I mean, does everyone really believe that everything Israel does is in the United States' strategic interest? Or is there a sense that, well, we better go along with this, otherwise there'll be trouble for me personally?
What I can tell you is that the people who have a strong sympathy for the Israeli position dominate the conversation. It's really not politically safe to say, look, there are two sides to this, and Israel has not been an angel in this, and certainly there have been people on the Palestinian side who have not contributed to a constructive solution. I personally think that the bombing of Sderot I think it was horrible and should not have happened. And I said that publicly. But now that we have over 600 Palestinians dead, many of whom had nothing to do with this, and would love it if Hamas would stop with the bombs, with the rockets they sent to Israel. These people are the ones who are suffering. These are the people who the world has to be concerned about. And I think that, look, as I said before, the people of Gaza have lived in dreadful isolation for a long time. The truth is, I don't believe my colleagues are fully aware of how desperately bad it is. I myself tried to visit Gaza when I was in Israel in August 2007, and I simply gave up because it was just everywhere I turned, it was just no, you cannot go there.
But do you think that there's much thought that goes into positions like that of Harry Reid? Or is it just a knee-jerk reaction? Do they just say, okay, it's Israel, we'll just go ahead?
Well, let me say this. I hope to be persuasive with the Senate Majority Leader. So I'm not going to get up on your show and publicly criticize him, if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
But I do hope that I can persuade people who are of the mind that there's only one victim here and only one perpetrator here. I hope I can persuade them that this is a far more complex situation than that, that there is a legitimate Palestinian narrative that the world must hear, and this is a horribly tragic situation. But if there's one silver lining to be found, there has never been this kind of press coverage on American televisions demonstrating the plight of the Palestinian people. And so maybe we will know more. Maybe we will learn more. Maybe we'll have a greater level of curiosity than we've had in the past. But let me just say this. In my informal conversations with my colleagues, and I'm not going to name any names, people are outraged by this. People are very upset, and I'm not the only one. And I'm absolutely not demonstrating courage. I'm just following the dictates of my heart and mind.
Well, one of your colleagues is definitely outraged, and that's Dennis Kucinich. He has sent a letter to Condoleezza Rice notifying her of a possible violation of the Arms Export Control Act of 1976, the use of U.S. Apache helicopters and F-16s in order to, as a precursor to military offensives in Gaza. That would be a violation. Even the mere act of him sending that to Condoleezza Rice should theoretically warrant some sort of investigation. Do you support that? Do you see that now those cogs will now start turning?
Let me just say that I think Dennis Kucinich is one of the more well-informed individuals on this issue. I think that he's trying to do what's the best for humanity. I think that he is trying to bring issues to light which do call for some real investigation. And so that's what I'll say about that.
So you support it unequivocally? You support the investigation?
I think that if he has reason to believe, I haven't seen the letter, so I'm not just going to say I support it unequivocally. But I'm saying what I'm saying, which is that I think it's a legitimate issue to be raised. I think answers have to be forthcoming, and I think that if these allegations can be proved, that the United States needs to act in a decisive way. And I will also say that I know, after speaking with Congressman Kucinich on this issue, that he has studied the facts and he has endeavored to know the issue, and I respect that, and I think that's right.
Congressman,
he should.
thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.